Shut up. I'm listening to Zdenek's English podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zdenek's English podcast. How are you? I hope everybody is okay. Here is another live show for you. How is everyone doing? I can see we have got Irena from Poland. We've got Maxim from Russia. Eduardo, I believe, is from Brazil, or is it Spain? Somewhere from South America. I'm not sure. Sida, I think she is probably from Brazil. Adam is from Poland, as far as I know. Robuka 2011, no idea where she's from. I assume it's a woman. Sexist. Tell us, Robuka. Enrique is from Spain. And Russian Worm, not sure where Russian Worm is from. So let us know in the chat, guys. I always want to know where you're listening from. And it's nice that we have got so much diversity here. People coming from different countries. Yeah, Robuka. Rod is Robuka. Rod from Brazil. Okay. Eduardo is from Spain. And Russian Worm is from Germany. And I believe Martin is also listening. Okay, of course. Martin from Germany as well. So we've got 2 people from Germany, 2 people from Spain, a few Brazilians. Very nice mix indeed. So welcome to Zdenek's English podcast. There's still lockdown here in the Czech Republic, but hopefully the measures will start relaxing soon, because it's about time we come out of our shells. It's a problem, because we can't sustain this any longer, if you ask me. Our economy is bleeding, businesses are suffering, people are losing their jobs, businesses are closing down, and I am pretty sure there's going to be an aftermath, but I think right now we need some sort of hope, and we need to get back to normal before it gets worse. So hopefully, with spring arriving, the lockdown measures will start relaxing as well. Now, let's talk about this episode. So I've got an interesting guest today, as always. His name is Rod. He's from Brazil, and he's an English teacher just like me. So he's a colleague. And I have recently been interviewed by him on his own YouTube channel, which was certainly a very pleasant experience. And by the way, this video premiered yesterday. So people were able to watch the interview yesterday, even though it had been recorded before. But it was really a great chat with Rod and a great opportunity for me personally, and pleasant experience overall. So I would like to welcome Rod, the Brazilian teacher, which is, by the way, the name of his YouTube channel as well, on Zdenek's English podcast. Rob, I say Rob, but it's Rod. Sorry, I don't know what's going on there. Rod, of course. How many times did I say Rob? Hopefully it was just once. Of course it's Rod, because his name is Rodrigo. All right, here he is. Rodrigo, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Fine.
I can hear you. I can hear you very well. I just wonder, is there any sort of echo or not?
Not for me. Not on my end.
Not for you, although I'm glad to hear that.
No.
What are the listeners saying, though? Any problems? Any echo?
No problem. No,
everything's fine. So I don't. So right now I'm wearing my earphones, my headphones, but I don't actually need them at all, because the sound is coming from my laptop. But since there is no echo, that means everything is fine. Rod, welcome to the Next English podcast, and I'm so sorry for accidentally calling you Rob. I knew there was a chance this could happen.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
I've recently had an English teacher called Rob on my podcast as well, and your names
quite
are
close.
like two two peas in a pod, so
Yeah.
they're very similar. So I'm so sorry. I hope I
Yeah,
just
no
said it
problem.
once. I hope I said it only once. Now, Rodrigo, Rod, right? That's your
Yeah.
name. So every
You can
time,
call me you
yeah.
can call me Rodrigo, Rod, what suits best for you.
Okay, well, as long as I don't mess it up again. Every time I mess it up, you guys can virtually slap me on my face or something. I don't know. Rodrigo, welcome to the Next English podcast. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, it was understandable that I had to invite you after your kind invitation to your YouTube channel and such a great reception, and you treated me really nicely there. So I mean, it's only fair for me to return the favor.
No, you're a natural. You're a star. You have teacher delivery, man. So,
Thank you. It's going to my head now. Let's talk about you. That's
all right.
what we are here for. So you are an English teacher. That's right. Is that right? How long have you been teaching English, Rodrigo?
Yeah, I am a Brazilian English teacher for 25 years now, and I
Hmm.
study English for 31 years since I was 8 years old.
31 years. Wow. 25 years of
Hmm.
teaching English. So that means you've
Yeah.
got plenty, more than enough teaching experience. So are you not tired yet of teaching English?
No, I'm not because this pandemic, my classes and my students have saved me
Hmm.
because I can engage with people in conversations and teach them and listen to their stories. And it was amazing. And I am really thankful for the job I have.
Of course, of course. Well, you seem like a very enthusiastic English teacher, and you seem to really enjoy what you're doing, and that's the most important thing, anyway.
Yeah,
And you do have a YouTube channel as well.
I
So,
do.
would you like to tell us a bit more about it?
Well, I started Rod, the Brazilian English teacher, on YouTube with interviews. I wanted to interview people from the English world. It doesn't matter if they were American, natives, non natives, British, or whatever. I
Yeah,
wanted to listen to their stories because I think when people sit down for a conversation, they strip down their ideas. They let their guards down, if you know what I mean. So
yeah.
it's very useful. And the idea was I am a little bit nervous, guys. I am happy to be here. So I want to let you know in advance.
No
So
need
the
to be
idea,
nervous. No
yeah,
need to be nervous, Rod. It's only me. No need to be nervous.
I know,
Don't
I know,
worry.
I know. You're a nice guy. You're a nice guy. So the idea was to bring people from all over the world and listen to their stories and also being able to teach a little bit of what I know and what I've learned, my skills and everything on YouTube for free to reach more people because as you know, I live in an inner state city in São Paulo,
Hmm, hmm.
and actually, I
How many
live.
how many
Yeah, go
people live
ahead.
in Sao Paulo? It's one of the largest Brazilian cities, as far as I'm aware. How many
Uh,
people live there?
São Paulo, there's millions of people. I can tell you exactly the numbers because I'm I'm really bad with numbers. But São Paulo is one of the biggest cities in the country.
Yeah.
São Paulo and Rio are the biggest ones. So I live like, just so you have an idea, I live 4 hours away by car from São Paulo.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Okay. Okay. So your YouTube channel. So what kind of videos do you do there?
I make quick lessons. I go live sometimes. I teach things. Actually, Sida, who's in chat right now, she was one of the ones who have encouraged me to start a second channel as well. Because
Hmm.
Rod, the Brazilian English teacher, is the main channel where I want to attract people to learn English and to bring me questions about English. But she, as a Brazilian person, she encouraged me to start a second channel only for Brazilians, which is English with Rod, if you allow me to say that.
Of course.
But the main channel is Rod, the Brazilian English teacher, and it's very healthy and growing. And
Mhm,
your
mhm.
interview yesterday was very well received
Oh,
because
cool.
you are a shining star, and you no,
Really?
we had a really nice chat, and you answered the questions. We are very alike. We have the same mindset, and the channel's growing. The channel's healthy. I think everybody should go there and see. There are lots of interviews. Last week I had a wonderful interview with Anya. Anya is in chat right now listening to us. I could see her here. It's also
Okay.
a very nice interview, and I think interviews can like entertain people. The interviews go around 25, 30 minutes, so it's not too long and it's not too short as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I agree because it's a natural way to use the language,
Yeah,
and you learn something about that person that you invite, and usually it's
yeah,
somebody, well, that your viewers or your audience haven't
yeah.
heard
Mm-hmm.
from. So I agree, it's a great way to run your channel for sure.
Yeah.
So just to clarify things, you have
Mm-hmm.
got you've got a channel for Brazilians. So
As
that's
well.
going to
Yeah.
be for people who speak Portuguese. I assume you speak
Yeah.
Portuguese there, right?
Yeah, for everybody who studies Brazilian Portuguese or Portuguese, they can understand the second channel. But let
Right.
me just tell you one other thing. The main channel, Rod, the Brazilian English teacher, I
Mhm.
teach only also quick lessons, special videos. So that's not only interviews. There's a lot of things there that I think people might like. So
Okay.
I teach pieces of grammar that I think some people don't like it. I teach shorts on pronunciation,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah, I've noticed some of your stuff, and it's really good. So I
Hmm.
recommend everyone that you check this out, and possibly subscribe to Rod's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
whichever
I have
one
a
you want
sub
to,
channel
because
on your Discord server. Thank you very much.
yeah. The Discord server, obviously, it's a place for people to socialize. It's a place for English learners to find English speaking partners. It's a
Hmm.
place
Hmm.
for it's a community that we're trying to grow, but also English teachers that want to promote their content and do it in a respectful way, and in not to in a not too imposing way, are very welcome as well. And you're definitely one of the people that I would like to have around. So yeah, thanks for joining
Thank
our
you.
Discord server as well.
Thank you
And
so much.
yeah, it's a pleasure. Um, so now that we have dealt with this, so we have given you a little bit of plug, as we call it in English. So
Yeah.
that's always important, because when you have somebody who has a YouTube channel or a podcast, it's the most important thing for me
Hmm.
as a host of this podcast. If I ever forget about that, then I should probably give up podcasting. So I'm glad we've done this. And so the topic that we're going to talk about might surprise some of you listeners, because usually I prefer, or no, not prefer, but I get into either general topics or lighthearted topics. But today I would say it's topic that I hope I will manage to, or obviously with help of Rods, we manage to do justice to. It's an important topic to discuss, because we're going to talk about disability and what's it like living with a disability. And well, I admit it's a difficult topic for me to talk about, but let's see what we can do. And just to explain it, just to explain why I chose this topic. Basically, in the video we've already mentioned, um, the interview that I did with you, Rod. I
Hmm.
think it was towards the end of it. You mentioned that you have a certain disability, and I thought that this hasn't been covered here on the next English podcast much, and I think it's important. And I think we should address this topic here and talk about it. And I'm glad I have your permission to do it, and I'm glad you chose to talk about it here on the Next English podcast. So
Hmm.
let's get cracking. So where do we
Of
start?
course.
I guess you have to tell us your story, Rod.
Wherever you want to start, and let me tell you one thing: you are free reign with me. I have no problems, no issues to talk about my disability because
Okay.
I am a 43-year-old father of two children and married to my lovely wife for 16 years now. And I was born disabled,
Hmm.
so it was we call that in the minimal way a medical flaw. It was a fault from the doctor. There was a lack of oxygen on in my brain, and
Uh-huh.
when I was trying to breathe, I got purple for 10 seconds, and it damaged my brain,
Okay.
causing my two lower limbs and my left upper limb to be impaired. So, what does it mean? I can walk, but I have half of the balance of a normal, in air quotes, a normal person.
Okay.
So I need the help of someone else to walk. And when I have to travel or walk long distances, I use a wheelchair. That's
Right.
been my whole life, So
Hmm.
I've never known what it's like to do things totally by myself, like going to a store and buy something. I
Yeah.
always needed help of someone else.
Yeah. So this
But I
happened.
can. I'm sorry.
So
Go
this
ahead.
no. So this happened during your birth. So
Yeah, 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 yeah,
you don't
yeah,
know a different version of yourself because I guess there are two different ways people get disabled. It could be that they are born with it, right? Just like
yeah,
you,
yeah.
and
I.
then it could happen to them during their
Mhm.
life. So I just wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if I mean if you think about it,
Mm.
what sort of how could it be different, really? Like,
Mhm.
is it? It's. I'm sorry if I use these words, but is it easier in a way because you don't know a different version of yourself, or how does it? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's easier not to know what faux normality is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because if I was born, let's say normal in quotes, I'm gonna use the word normal now, and you guys understand what it is. But I think it is much more difficult when you go through an accident and become disabled. I was born disabled, so I never experienced what it
Yeah.
was like to be going to places by myself or meeting people or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can tell you one thing: I have a totally normal life. I drive because my problem is only when I'm walking or
Hmm.
when I need balance. So my car
Yeah.
is a normal car. I have two children, but I can tell you that the worst part of this is I'm just breathing heavily because I'm a little bit nervous yet. I am emotional to be here. And mostly the prejudice, but the prejudice comes from inside, from family, you know,
Hmm.
not from people that you know along the way in your life, because
Okay.
I've known a lot of wonderful people. But family, sometimes I love my family, I love my parents, I love my wife, I love my children, but there are people from your family that sometimes are really cruel. Like my father's parents never accepted me because I was a disabled person.
Oh.
They never really liked me. And when I told my grandfather once, "Oh, I'm studying English because I love English," he said, "No, what matters for me is somebody who learns math.
Oh,
Learning
come on.
languages for me is not cool." So I said, "I'm sorry for telling that." And there
Mhm.
was a lot of times, but there was also some angels in my life, which was my mother's mother, my grandmother,
Okay.
who was by my side for 33 years. She died, she was 93, and then I met my wife. And then I
Hmm.
am happily married for 16 years, and I have wonderful students like Sita, wonderful friends like you, and many others. And that's how my life goes.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
only heritage that I want to leave for my children is that they could see their father worked his whole life to give them education and to teach them about the world and how to be kind to people. That's my message.
Okay, yeah, that's very, praiseworthy is the word. I think it's very
Mm-hmm.
praiseworthy, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so so the reason I chose to talk about this is because I really want to know what it's like
Yeah.
living as a disabled person, because I
Mm-hmm.
know often people, as you mentioned, people had
Mm-hmm.
either prejudices,
Yeah.
or I'm pretty sure that, well, in the 21st century, it's actually not the worst time for the disabled. Imagine if it was like 100 years ago, or a few hundred years ago. I
Yeah.
bet it must have been much worse
Yeah.
for any disabled people. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there are still some sort of, if not prejudices, it could be just, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Well, it's a
Don't
prejudice,
worry.
isn't it?
Don't worry.
It-
Don't
Ultimately,
worry.
it is a prejudice, isn't it? Like when
Yeah. Yeah.
people look at you and they might say something
Yeah.
or expect something,
I
but
can tell you. I can tell you quick stories. When I'm sitting, people can't tell that I am a disabled person because I talk. But
yeah,
when I stand up from the chair that I'm in and I start
yeah.
walking, people immediately notice
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
I have an issue, I have a problem, I have a condition, and then
Yeah,
the questions come. Like oh, I can tell a very funny story because I have to laugh sometimes, not to go crazy. Once
of
I
course.
was once I was at a Madonna concert in São Paulo with my wife, and there was a police officer who looked at me in the wheelchair, and he did this remark. What is this guy doing here in the middle
Ah,
of this crowd, and
yeah.
and my wife, she's a little bit short fused because I'm a little bit more resilient. She looked at the police officer and she said, not to see you, he came here to see Madonna,
I see.
so. And then because and sometimes we go to restaurants. I think you're gonna think it's very funny because you know me a little better now. We go to restaurants and the server brings the menu and brings to my wife, to the people who are with us,
Yeah.
and they ask my wife, what does he want? Um, Guessing that because I have a disability or I walk
Ah,
funny, I can't read. And she gives her menu to me and says, looking to the server,
yeah,
see in the menu what you want and tell him what you want to eat. And then
yeah,
the person knows that I can read or whatever. And but
yeah.
the misconception of people take me as, when I am with my children and they ask me, are they your nephew, or I said, no,
Ah,
they're my children, and they say, but how? And then I funnily enough answer them, do I really have to explain you how? They're
yeah.
my children, so. And
Yeah, so
sometimes,
I get it. So basically,
yeah,
people make inconsiderate remarks.
yeah,
People have
yeah,
prejudices,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
and, and
yeah,
and the
yeah.
only reason they have these prejudices, it's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily because people want to be mean. I think
Yeah,
people just
yeah,
they just not educated enough. They just don't
yeah.
have
And
they just
maybe
don't
they
have an
don't
idea. They don't
understand.
have a
Yes.
clue. They
Yeah,
don't have a
yeah.
clue about your
Mm-hmm.
disability, and they don't
Yeah,
understand. And
yeah.
what I think what especially bugs you is the fact that they don't understand that
Mm-hmm.
a certain disability is just one kind of disability, and it
Of
means you
course.
possibly that you are not able to
Yeah,
do some certain thing, but
yeah,
that doesn't mean that you can't do other things, right?
yeah.
So it's just
there
I,
there are
I see.
levels of disabilities,
Of
Zdenek.
course,
So
of course, of course, yeah,
my I have developed really thick skin because I had to learn, because
yeah,
when I was small, when I was little, I went to school and children didn't want to, because I went to normal school. I don't
yeah,
have any brain damage or anything. You can
yeah,
tell that.
yeah, I can tell,
Uh,
yeah.
and children didn't want to grab my hand in any kind of game or battle that there was in school to play or whatever, because they
Mm.
were afraid they would start walking like me, and then the teachers would have
Oh,
to come and tell them, no, you can play with Rod or Rodrigo, because his disability doesn't go to anyone, so
yeah,
and but even so, they were a little bit hesitant
yeah,
to do so, but I could overcome, but what hurts me the most now, because I
yeah.
have learned so much through it. I have a teenage son. He's 12 to 13 years old, and
Hmm.
when he goes to school, people try to imitate the way I walk, to
Oh,
tease him, you know? And they
right.
say, oh, look the way your father walks. And then
Yeah,
he went to the principal's office many times crying. And then my wife went to school and said, hey, I'm not going to allow this anymore. These
yeah,
children picking on our son because my
yeah,
husband walks differently.
yeah,
He doesn't care because he learned how to deal with this. But picking on the child, on the
yeah.
kid to do
Well,
so, it's
well,
not fair.
it is a form of bullying, if you ask me, and I think the school you should really deal with it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And
So
then it
yeah.
seems that it stopped. So,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I am quite sure that my children are proud of me and what I wanna uh, leave behind when I'm not in this world anymore is that I was a good person, an honest person, and a humble person, you know.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
chose teaching English first and foremost because I love English, and secondly because it was a profession that I could do sitting, if you know what I mean. I could
Yes,
sit on a chair and teach everybody.
of
So,
course, of course. Well, to
and
be
then
honest, these days every single teacher does that almost. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I can
now,
tell you
yeah,
what, and I can tell you another funny thing, because my grandfather, who was very stupid, I'm sorry using that word, he said that I would never study, that I would never go to university because but I proved him wrong. I
yeah,
went to university. I have a master's degree in teaching English as a foreign language, as you know, and I am so proud of it. But
yeah,
I have wonderful parents who helped me along the way, and who were. My father once told me, it was a beautiful sentence that I never forget. Once while you have the brains, I have the legs. So as far as you want to go, I'll be with you while I'm
mm,
alive. And when I found my wife, he passed the baton to my wife and said, now you can replace me and fill my shoes. And that was a wonderful sentence that I never forget. And I live life happily now and working
yeah.
like crazy and meeting people.
Yeah. But I just want to ask you: would you
Of
say that
course.
the fact that you have a disability, would you say that it has actually helped you become the best version of yourself? Because as you said yourself, you had this inner desire to prove yourself, to prove your
Mm-hmm.
father wrong, to prove everybody wrong,
Yeah. Yeah.
whoever didn't believe in you, whoever
Yeah.
thought that you couldn't make it because of being different.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
this what was your driving force?
I always have had a driving force and a burning desire, to tell I'm different, but I am equal at the same time.
Mm.
And one thing that I have developed very much was resilience, because I needed to be very resilient because I loved studying, I love learning. And to tell you the truth, I am proud to say that I still study English every day,
Mhm.
because you know that I'm no native English teacher. I told you that before. And I'll always be a work in progress. And if I am an English teacher, I want to be the best version of myself, as you said. And when somebody, you said something very, very, that was very strong. during your interview that I really agreed. I'm going to quote you now, or try to quote you, or paraphrase you in any way.
Okay. Well,
I
what
asked
was it?
you, I asked you, did you have any problems with being a non-native English teacher? You asked me something very amazing that I'm going to use for myself, quoting, saying that was my friend Zdenek who said that. You said, yes, I went through it, but only with people who didn't know me well.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to use now. Because sometimes I write, because I use a dictation program, a dictation software on my phone to help me to write emails so I can type faster.
Yeah.
And sometimes you know how dictation softwares work. You know how crazy Siri is. And sometimes I dictate something and something else is written. And sometimes people write me back correcting me. Oh, you should have said this like that. And I have to kindly say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm using a dictation software. Then the person knows. So that's
Yeah.
something that with that sentence of yours, with that quote of yours, I'm going to use forever. Do you have problems with being a non-native English teacher? Yes, I had, as my Zdenek friend said. My friend Zdenek has said, for those who don't know me, I had problems, but
Yeah.
those who knew me, I don't have problems. All right.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
thank you for that quote. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
that.
By the way, you don't have to use my name whenever to speak. Whenever you tell people.
Because they're gonna ask me, who's Zdenek? Where
No.
is he from?
Yeah. Exactly. And then it is difficult to explain because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not world famous or
I'm
anything.
gonna
So
I'm gonna say I have a quote from a friend, which says, blah, 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 blah. Uh,
no, come on. Just say it. just,
yeah,
just say it as if these were your words. I
yeah,
probably didn't come up with this myself anyway. So
yeah.
I don't think this is anything profound, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But okay. Um, so basically, to sum up, you think you have quite possibly achieved more because of having a disability. You have achieved more because this gave you this drive and
Mm-hmm.
the sort of the attitude that you now have, right?
Yeah, I think I agree. I can agree with you, because this disability has brought two things that I think is really important to me: respect to everyone.
Hmm.
Uh, doesn't matter who they are and or
Okay.
where do they come from,
Yep.
and to be down to earth. Doesn't matter what
Mm.
I do. I never think that I am the best. I never
Yeah.
think that I know enough. And it
Yep.
has brought me respect to any single human being, and be kind, and be try to be my best version, as you said, in a
Yep.
humble way. In a humble way. To be
I
humble
can
is the key for me.
I can tell you something. There are too many people who are arrogant in this world, and
Hmm.
honestly,
Hmm.
honestly, we have to fight them. Us, the people who don't really think too highly of themselves, we have to fight
Yeah.
them.
Do you
You know?
mind if I tell you one little story very quick that happened to me that I told during Anya's
Yeah,
interview?
yeah. Go ahead.
One day, I was waiting for a new student at a private school that I used to work, because nowadays I own my own school with my wife,
Hmm.
and the student was sitting as well and talking to me at the waiting room. And then I said, let's go to the classroom now because we're going to start your private lesson. And then the student told me, like, but are you teaching me this way? I said, what do you mean? He said,
Yeah,
you walk like that and you're going to be my teacher.
yeah,
And then I kindly looked at his eyes, because I like to look at people's eyes when I'm talking, to be very clear and very respectful. I said, hey, let me tell you something. If you give me the chance to teach you one single class,
yeah,
and if you like my job, okay. If you don't like my job, we're gonna find another teacher to teach you.
Yeah.
So, but just give me the chance and give me a feedback by the end of the class if you like it or not. And then he said, okay. And then we went. And when I finished the class, because I used computers with projectors on the walls and everything. And when I
Yeah.
finished the class, I said, okay, thank you very much for having you here today and whatever. He walked over to me, to my desk, and he said, I'm sorry. I said, for
Yeah.
what? And his eyes were filled with tears.
Yeah.
And then he said,
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
And then he said, for misjudging you. I said, no, you didn't misjudge me. Why are you telling that? Because I didn't believe in your potential when you started teaching me. And I would like to say I'm sorry. I said, okay, apology accepted, but you didn't have to do it. And if you really like it, the only thing that I want from you is dedication as an English student, and that you graduate as an English student.
Yeah.
And 4 years later, Zdenek, I gave the diploma to that student, and he was
Wow.
very thankful to me.
Wow.
But I didn't say anything. Uh, so that's why I tell you, humbleness is the
I
key
love
for
this
me.
story, Rod. I
Thank
love this
you.
story, and I
Thank
also have
you.
to say, like, I hope it's not going to sound pretentious or anything, but I would like to say that I can. It's going to sound very weird, but I can, in a way, relate to this because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
non-native English teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, when I started working in Speak Up London, which is a language school in London, in the center of London, in Oxford Street,
Mm-hmm.
um, I didn't really doubt my own abilities or my
Mm-hmm.
qualifications
Mm-hmm.
or that because I had
Mm-hmm.
been teaching for a long time and I
Mm-hmm.
really had full confidence in myself.
Yeah.
But I was not, I wouldn't say afraid, but I was prepared, let's say prepared to
Mm-hmm.
face people
Mm-hmm.
like that guy from your story,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
judging me because of the way I sound, because of the accent I have.
Yeah.
And and I was so surprised that most people were actually they were ready, they were prepared to give me the benefit of the doubt,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And within one lesson, just like you, I managed to convince them
Yeah. Yeah.
that I could do the job and they would
Mm-hmm.
benefit from my classes,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact
Mm-hmm.
that in every other classroom in that building there were native speakers um, except one other teacher from Greece.
Yeah.
Everybody else was a native speaker from Great Britain,
Mm-hmm.
and often you go to London
Mm-hmm.
because you want to hear native speakers talk to
Mm-hmm.
you. You
Mm-hmm.
want to be taught by native speakers. You
Yeah.
want that accent because you have idolized it, right? You have idolized
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
And
I
then
agree.
imagine this. Then you come to a classroom, and then there's a guy
Mm-hmm.
from the Czech Republic,
Yeah.
wherever that is,
Yeah.
and this person is going to teach you English.
Mm-hmm.
You paid your money for this, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I was glad to find that people gave me the chance, and that was so
Yeah.
important for me. And also,
Yeah.
I will be honest with you, I also have to say that I had full support of
Yeah.
of my of my boss or manager
Yeah. Yeah.
or the owner of the school, and
Yeah.
that's what really made a difference for me because
Mm-hmm.
I knew if anything happened, they would
Mm-hmm.
always stand behind me. You know, they would always stand by me. So
Yeah, I have the principal of my school, who I have an interview with on my channel as well. I
yeah,
already shared it here, and she had the same thing with me, the full respect as much as you had. And when she invited me to teach with her, let's say so,
yeah,
I told her, okay, but I want you to watch my first class and give me some feedback on what do I need to change, if I need to change. And she told me, I'm gonna give you one feedback. I'm gonna open the door of the classroom, put the students there, close the door, and kick your behind. And she started
mm,
laughing because that's the only thing that I need to do. The only thing
Yeah.
that she told me was what I exactly told you some minutes ago. Be respectful with the students and ask them for their permission to teach you. Only
Yeah.
that. And then
Exactly.
your job goes. And I worked with her for beautiful 10 years,
Yeah.
so.
And I
But
would
you
just
can
like to
imagine, I'm sorry, but you can imagine all this story that you told about the accent, about being from Czech Republic, about being a Brazilian, and also having the another plus with the disability. So the guy is not a native English speaker and he's disabled and
yeah.
he's gonna teach me. So what the
Hell, it's
is
the double
going on, So
there's a term for it. It's a double
yeah.
disadvantage. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when the class finishes, people would be, I don't know, understand or have it as an example. But I totally I totally resonate with you, in
Yeah.
the on this,
I,
so.
I think I can learn from you in one thing. I think you are you come across. Forgive me for guessing, but you come across as quite a calm person, And
Mhm.
sometimes what happens to me is that the emotions get the better of me. Yeah,
Mhm.
despite the fact that I'm always trying to be professional and all that. But if
Yeah.
someone sort of how to put this, if
Mhm.
someone judges me
Mhm.
or doesn't give me enough credit,
Mhm.
not credit,
Mhm.
but just mm,
Discredits, maybe.
yeah, just does
Mhm.
something like
Yeah.
it has happened to me here once.
Mhm.
I was teaching online actually
Mhm.
with one student from Russia.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
said some sort of a not such a nice remark about the
Mhm.
fact that my accent wasn't British, and
Mhm.
I felt so offended and insulted, and the emotions got the better of me, and
Mhm.
that's not something that I have that I must do. Instead, I have to keep calm and carry on, and keep a stiff upper lip, and
Mhm.
then prove those people wrong
Yeah.
up to the point that they basically feel ashamed about
Mhm.
about what they thought or what they said. But
Mhm.
sometimes I take it too personally. But I think the more it happens to me, the better I get at this.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it depends on the frame of
Because
mind I'm in. So yeah,
no native teachers like you and me, we have to get out of our comfort zones every single day.
yeah,
Because I'm not teaching Portuguese, I'm teaching English. And
hmm
sometimes I have to know Portuguese even better than English because sometimes the student doesn't know what the difference between a noun or a verb or whatever it is. And we at least on my end, I get out of my comfort zone every day and that's fun, you know
yeah,
because I have to challenge myself even more to be a better teacher every day. That's my goal, to be better every day. When people ask me, do you know English as much as you wanted to know? Do you? I said, no, I'm a work in progress. I always say that I'm a work in progress because
hmm
the more I study, I know that the less I know, I told you that before. I think we were talking off camera and you agreed with me. The more we study, the less we know because we know that there's more to
yep,
study.
that's right,
So
right. Yeah,
in my disability, yeah, I can tell you one thing. Do I like it? No, I don't like it because it has impaired me of doing a lot
yeah,
of things. There was a lot of hindrance. There was some things that I couldn't do for my children that my father does, that my mother
yeah,
does, that my wife does. But I learned to live with it.
yeah.
You
You
know,
accept.
and
You come to terms with it. You came to
and
terms with it.
and one person, yeah, I came to terms with it. And one person asked me once, what if your child do you would you accept if your children would be disabled as well? Look at the
That-
oh, what
That's
kind
a
of
terrible
question.
question.
I
That's a
said,
terrible
I
question to
said,
ask. Yeah,
I
that's a
said I would accept because they would be my children if they were disabled, but I wouldn't like them to be because I know how horrible it is to go through this. The
yeah.
looks, the pointings, the bad remarks, the wow, does he talk? Once they asked me straight faced, are you retarded? I'm sorry, but that was the word that the person told me.
Mm, okay.
So
What is there?
I
Is there?
said no.
Okay, Rod. May I ask you a question? Would you
Of
say
course.
that one weapon, one really effective weapon against this is some sort of humor, like sarcasm,
Yeah,
or
that's what I do. I
just,
I
yeah,
use humor, So
yeah, yeah,
when I was going to when I went to buy my suit for my wedding with my wife, I was walking in the shopping mall, and a lot of people were staring at me actually because
yeah.
I was walking hand in hand with her, and my mother and my father were behind us. And my father said like that, Rodrigo, stop mocking people with disability. That's not fair to do. You know, so people didn't know if I really was a disabled person or if I was mocking someone. But I
Yeah,
I would never do it in a million years. I'm totally against any kind of prejudice.
yeah,
But he needed to say that so
yeah.
people would be in kind of doubt
Of
of what
course,
was going on, if you know what I
sure.
mean.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's humor.
yeah. No, no. I think it can be extremely effective
Mhm.
because if you
Mhm.
use humor, it shows that
Yeah.
you are a confident person.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if I think if someone is
Mhm.
confident, that person is much harder to bully.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
nobody is going to bully a confident person,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
that's what you have to do. I think that's what you have to
Mhm.
do. But and I'm speaking to myself as well, because
I agree with you
being a
entirely.
non-native teacher in some contexts, it is
Mhm.
a kind of a disadvantage. So
Yeah. Mhm.
so you need to know how to handle it, and you need to be prepared for it. And there are definitely ways to deal with it in
Mhm.
in a in a calm manner. So yeah,
Mhm.
Rod,
Yes.
it's been wonderful to have you on the podcast, and
Mhm.
it's also a great pleasure to hear your candid
Mhm.
story. And
Thank you.
this I know this came
Mhm.
from the bottom of your heart,
Of
and
course.
I really
Mhm.
greatly appreciate
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
this opportunity to have you on the Next English podcast.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
well, hopefully we also did some sort of justice to this topic.
Yeah.
And just to add something here, you saved the reputation of Brazilians on this podcast, because a few weeks ago I was supposed to have one of your countrymen teacher on this podcast, but he didn't
Mm.
make it. 3 times
Mm.
in a row let me down. So I'm glad that you.
I am a Londoner with time, my friend. So don't worry. If you tell me to be 5 p.m. with you, which is my time right now, I'm gonna be 4:45. I'm there.
I, I
So
was just making a little joke. I wasn't even implying that Brazilians are bad at timekeeping or anything like that, because I don't know enough Brazilians to even
hmm
say something like that. But
hmm
I was a bit sad
hmm
about that guy. Um, but I'm not sad
hmm
uh, about this appearance of yours here on the Next English podcast, because I think
yeah.
it's been fantastic. Thank you very much for
If you
being
allow
here.
me a few last
Yeah,
words,
go
okay.
on.
I would like to thank the wonderful comments I'm reading here in chat. Thank you very much. And if you can see my channel and watch the things that I have there, Rod, the Brazilian English teacher. And now, mostly for you, Zdenek, your heart is bigger than the whole globe. You
Really?
know,
Well, I doubt
please
it.
keep please keep being this fun person, this great friend. And it was one of the highlights of my year of 2021 was meeting you. And I would like to thank Sida, my friend and student who's here, who talked to me, to talk to you, and to encourage me to talk to you. I said, I don't know if he's going to talk to me. He's a great teacher, and you ended up being one of the humblest person I've ever met. Thank you so very much for accepting me among all of these wonderful 600 or more people that you have in your Discord server and the podcast. You are an
Well,
amazing person.
there
Thank
is
you
no,
very
there is,
much.
thank you for your kind words. I don't know what to say because I'm not really good at
You don't need to.
I'm not very good at accepting compliments. So, well, what I want to say is that it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on Zdenek's English podcast, and for me, it's normal to invite people. I don't know how to end this podcast now after these words. Okay,
Thank you so much.
Rodrigo. I'm just going to
Yes.
say thank you very much. I'm going to thank my listeners as well, and everybody who is going to listen after the live show as well. And
Thank you,
maybe,
everybody.
hopefully, this is not the last time we have teacher Rod on Zdenek's English podcast. So remember, Rod, the Brazilian teacher YouTube channel, if you want to subscribe to his channel.
Yeah.
That's it from me for today. So until next time, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.
Thanks a lot for listening. For more information, go to Zdenek's English Podcast Facebook group or visit zdenek'senglishpodcast.podbean.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Zdenek's English Podcast. If you are Zdenek's English Podcast patron, I've got some good news for you. A mini lesson review that focuses on the target language from this episode is arriving right after this. To become Zdenek's English Podcast patron, go to teacherzdenek.com Zep section and click Become Patron.